There's been a few ideas of where rugby's going to go from this. What do you guys make of the proposal from Bernard Laporte and Bill Momont? Apparently, they've been involved in an idea about scrapping the Champions Cup, having a World Club Cup every year with 6 Super Rugby sides, 4 English, 4 French, and 4 Pro 14 teams, as well as teams from Japan and the USA.
Oh, mate, I'm a traditionalist, mate. I'll be gutted to see that. I absolutely love the Champions Cup. I love it. And I get that there needs to be an evolution in what we're doing. And it was great having Hoppers talk about there's going to be changes and listen to Bill Sweeney's interview as well from the England RFU's point of view. And we all want to see rugby evolve. I just don't think that that's the way forward. I really don't. I mean, I would like to say, I think it's adding more games on, and are the games going to get cut off this? Are we going to go? I'd like to see a global season. If you're asking me, that's what I prefer. And again, I've pushed it a few times, and it's not something as a player that I necessarily would have wanted, but I think as a spectator and watching rugby in Scotland as well in the horrible conditions and taking JJ to rugby here when the conditions are poor, I'd actually like to see it in the summer. I really would. That's what I'd like to see come from this. But to change the format and to take the Champions Cup away and repackage it into something else, I'm just unsure. I'm not a massive fan of Super Rugby. Maybe that's why. I do like some of the tries and stuff like that, but I don't think the product is the same as the Champions Cup. I think the Champions Cup it's up there with the internationals. It's up there with the Guinness Six Nations.
I think I completely agree with Jim there. The global calendar and the global season is perhaps the way to look at things about making change and aligning everything that way. But I think the big issue with, it's all very well Bernard Laporte, Bernard Dador, and Bill Beaumont coming out and saying these things. But the reality of it is compare it to football. So the Champions League is the be-all and end-all, isn't it? And the Premier League, which is where the most money is driven through advertising, through TV revenue, through sponsorship for the clubs. So you compare that to the World Club Cup in football. No one cares about it, do they? Does anyone care about that in football? Absolutely not. Liverpool were talking about sending the kids at one point. Yes, they went and won it, but who cared about who Liverpool were playing in that competition in football? So I think that would be the same thing for rugby. We're very tribal about our own sort of teams that we support and our own competitions that we're involved in. And the big issue with it is you look at Super Rugby, so you look at Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, and you look at the Guinness Pro 14, especially in Ireland, Wales and Scotland. The unions run those clubs. So the unions in New Zealand run the franchises, same in Australia, same in South Africa, same in Ireland, and it's all aligned to play international rugby. The French and the English are owned separately to the RFU. They're owned by individual people, businessmen, or a collective bunch of people that own the club. So you're talking about two completely different things, and I just don't think it aligns. I think it dilutes what are some brilliant competitions by, you get the Crusaders coming over and playing against Exeter. It'd be great in a one-off game, but in a tournament where you're getting rid of the Champions Cup and the beauty of playing in that, I think it's completely ridiculous. So don't agree with it. I do agree with looking at a global season and making that something where we're all aligned, which will make life a lot easier moving forward further down the track. But I think you definitely need your domestic competitions, and the European Champions Cup is it's a brilliant competition. Having played in it and won it a few times, it's something that every player enjoys and loves doing up here.
So that's a big flat no to a World Club Cup.
I wouldn't say a no. I'd say you could have a World Club final game where you play the European champions against the Super Rugby champions in a one-off game. That sort of idea I don't mind, but to bin off the Champions Cup for me is ridiculous.